Shame, embarrassment, devastation, disgust. It has been a month and 7 days, 5 weeks to the day,
35 calendar days,
25 business days,
10 weekend days.
and yes, I am using a date calendar to figure that out. Dang it! I wanted to be better than that for you guys. I wanted to be better than that for me. I wanted to be better than that for this podcast, for this whole thing. But life has been taking off. It's been crazy. It really has. Like, no excuse. I feel like the least funniest I've ever been. Even though within that 2 weeks, I'll talk about it on the podcast. This is the little preamble before the podcast because I feel like I have to say something because I haven't said anything via this podcast in 25 business days. It's wildly disappointing. I have to get better. I know I want to get better. And maybe I'm afraid of like letting jokes out or off, or I don't know. I gotta figure it out. I don't know who's even grading, who's grading this thing. But I do care about you guys. I work in podcasts. I know that you can't do this. I'll say this. I was a week behind when I recorded this podcast, thinking that I was going to get it up within the next 3 days, max. And it was 35 days. I talk about a joke that my mom hates and kill Tony. And censorship on stage. Why am I telling you this? You're literally about to listen. Bye. Good luck. Thank you. I'm sorry again. I'm sorry. And when I say I'm sorry, I mean like I'm sorry it's been this long since I put out the last episode. Okay? Okay, love you. Bye.
Alright guys, ready for your next comic? I love this man very, very much. He's an up and comer. He's very, very good. Please put your hands together for Brandon Newman.
Wah, 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 wah. This is your boy Brandon Newman, aka B Newman. This is episode 2 of Brandon and Friends. Shout out to everyone who checked into episode 1. I know it's been 2 weeks since I dropped the last episode, so I'll give you guys some time to come in, collect and cultivate and think and ideate and become fans or decide never to listen to it again. Shouts out to all 57 people who downloaded episode 1. Big fans. I know all of you personally because I have the RSS feed lets me know what city you're coming from, and I know where all my friends live, so it kind of is Brandon and Friends. So I don't want to really do this every episode, but shouts out to Michael Jr., who's in LA. He's the LA download. Shouts out to Kyle Johnson, who's the Japan Osaka download, no doubt. Lance in Louisville, my brother, the Louisville download. Like, I see the cities, and then randomly a bunch of people in Tampa. So shout out to, I hope it's local comedians supporting me, but yes, I digress. Speaking of local comedians, the person that introduced me this episode is Mike Stevens. You heard his voice. He's one of the redheads that inspired one of my popular bits that you're going to hear today that I really love, one of my favorite jokes. But Mike Stevens is the reason why this episode exists. He's a Sarasota comedian. He was a bit of a mentor to me when I first came into the scene. That was back when he was hosting open mics at McCurdy's. He has since moved to Austin, Texas. Sorry for the pause. I probably cut out the pause. Let me just start that over again. He moved to Austin, Texas, the place for stand-up comedians right now. A lot of migration from stand-ups to Austin, Texas. Back in the day, it was like you have to move to New York City if you're a stand-up, because that's where you get the most opportunities to do stand-up. That's the time where you can do 8 mics a night, some people have said, right? You can do start at 3 p.m., then you do a 5 p.m. show, then 7 p.m. show, 8 p.m., 9, 10, 11, and then you do a late night show. Oh, that actually worked out. I was kind of freestyling, but this is kind of what I've heard and what I've experienced a little bit when I was in New York City, where you can jump around between mics, just catching a train. Everything's really close in the city. But Austin, Texas, apparently this one street that the Comedy Mothership is on, that is the comedy club built by Joe Rogan, opened up in 2023, actually March 7th, 2023. So Joe Rogan's Comedy Mothership, the home of Kill Tony, a very popular comedy podcast that I'm going to get into specifically in this episode. They opened their doors 3-year anniversary last week, and which is crazy because you would think that it's been much longer compared to how important it is in the stand-up comedy scene at this point in time. So back up to Mike Stevens, Sarasota comedian. Like I said, he moved to Austin, Texas with his best friend and comedy friend Cam Bertrand. I don't know.
Please help me welcome to the stage one of my best friends. He travels all over the world with me. He's Tampa's own. Make some noise for Cam Bertrand! I brought 5 miles from here, Luke. And now I get to open one of my best friends and best comedians in the fucking world. Make some noise for Matt Rife!
Cam was on America's Got Talent. He won the Funniest Man in Florida competition, I think in 2021. Cut his teeth in Tampa. It's at Side Splitters, one of the most popular comedy clubs in Tampa right now. Like if you've seen, speaking of Kill Tony Network or Net Universe, Cam Patterson, another Cam, but Cam Patterson, who's on SNL now, who got popular from Kill Tony. He came from the Side Splitters world, Florida comedian. But anyways, they moved to Austin, Texas, and they were ready for the move. Cam was big at the time. He had a lot of shows coming up. I believe Mike did a lot of work with Cam on Cam's shows, and Mike is a great comic in his own right. I've seen him do 30 minutes at McCurdy's. He had moved to Austin and he came back for a show, and he had that glow of like being a celebrity now. You know, he had this long red hair and it was all perfect and he had a nice fade. I say that to say I want to talk about today's episode is censorship on stage. A lot of people get into stand-up comedy because they want to say whatever they want to say, because you can say whatever you want to say as a stand-up comedian. I think there's like a no holds bar thing. Like you're doing it for entertainment's sake, you're doing it for the laugh. It's very controversial at times because people want to just get their thoughts off and they think it's funny. But one of the things that Les McCurdy taught me in the stand-up class that I took was don't use your stage time to set your agenda. People are there to laugh. People are there to have a good time. People spend money, put shoes on to go laugh. Like they're not here to get a glimpse of your manifesto, right? So just like go let them have a good time. But Kill Tony is a place that is... one of the more popular podcasts out right now, and definitely one of the more popular ways that stand-up comedians see their way into the industry, way to get into the mainstream, way to make it big time. You get on Kill Tony, just to talk about what that show is. It's hosted by Tony Hinchcliffe, who is very controversial in his own right. He was a roast comedian of sorts.
You bench 245?
Yeah.
Wow. Enough about your date from last week.
If she's not 180, she ain't a lady. You know what I'm saying? Let's go.
I talk about that in my book, chapter 25. Chapter 25, fat bitches are people too. Pick up a copy at your local Barnes & Noble.
He started the podcast Kill Tony with his partner Red Band, who is... But they started the show back in LA, and they were doing it for years in LA at the Comedy Store. The Mitzi Shore, the popular booker of the time, like everyone came to the Comedy Store. The Comedy Store was popular back in the day, back in the day, because people who ended up doing 5 minutes on Carson and all the Jay Leno and all those like late night shows would do time at the Comedy Store. Kill Tony started there, then COVID hit, and to have more flexibility with the show, they moved to Austin, Texas, following Joe Rogan, who moved from LA to Austin, Texas, where he had his Joe Rogan Experience, his very popular podcast, number one podcast forever. And he moved to Austin to set up his podcast studio. There, he built the mothership, the comedy club that Kill Tony is now popular to be. It's the home for the show Kill Tony. That show is very controversial. It's the truest form. Kill Tony is the truest example of what it's like going to an open mic pretty much anywhere in America, right? You'll see some great comedians doing great comedy, working on new stuff. But you'll also see some people that should have stayed home, all right? Or like recently on a recent episode, they just had a stalker who put their name in the bucket to get pulled because they were stalking another famous comedian on Kill Tony. I said the bucket. I haven't set it up just yet. So the show Kill Tony is a live podcast. They say live because it's live to tape, but they play it like weeks later because production. That's how things work in television. Packed out room. Tony Hinchcliffe invites two very famous comedians to join the panel of the show. All 200 to 250 to 300 people who go to Austin, Texas physically and sign up to do stand-up. 1 minute of material. They get their name pulled out of the bucket at random, and whoever's name gets pulled out, they get invited to go on set or go on the stage, do 60 seconds of material, typically brand new material, and then the audience reacts, and then the panel of comedians typically roast the comedian that's doing the new set, or just kind of ask questions, and then there's the interview portion of the show, and that's where you really get a chance to learn who the comedian was. You don't really learn much from 60 seconds of stand-up, but in that interview portion is the longest time that person is on stage, if they're interesting or if they have a cool story. Since learning about Kill Tony, and shouts out to the homie Sean Bronner, who's just a friend from PRP high school, where I went to high school. He was on the basketball team. I started sharing clips of myself on stand-up, me doing stand-up 3 years ago. And he was like, hey, do you listen to Kill Tony? And I was like, no, what is that? Had no idea. Then I go there and I figure out, or I start listening to the podcast, and I figure out that everyone who's doing open mics is listening to the show. People that I've done stand-up with at mics, people I've done shows with, like these are the people that I've heard on Kill Tony getting their name pulled out of the bucket, doing great sets. Shouts out to Young, the newest bucket winner. I guess she won the Netflix episode of Kill Tony is broadcast on Netflix every now and then. The bucket pool from that show, a young Chinese American woman.
You said you were Asian and young, and Red Band came in his pants.
Here's what I really want to know. What do you eat?
A lot of people ask me that because American women are not as skinny as me. We need to get back on the fat shaming in this country.
Red Band is sweating bullets.
Oh, no, I just, you have a very small face and nice white skin. I enjoy
You look
it.
like you have problems with your kidneys.
He does.
I can tell.
She's from this Tampa area. I met her doing open mics and Wesley Chapel, Side Splitters Wesley Chapel stage, which is stand up literally in a theater, movie theater. She respected my set, and obviously she was very funny herself, and we just kind of got to chop it up talking about YouTube and podcasting and all those things like that. And so she's been on the grind for a long time. And shouts out to Young, because she got her she had a great set on the live show that was in Austin, that was on Netflix, and she's been a regular now on the show, which is amazing for her. It was the first time I got a chance to see the little joke book that gets handed out, or big joke book. If a comedian does well on the show, they get a joke book. I feel like I'm all over the place, but some of the most offensive things you've ever heard on stage, you hear on this show. Politically, it leans very, very right, to the point where it's almost not annoying in a way that like being political, but annoying in a way of like, why am I hearing so much about this person's political opinions while I'm just trying to listen to this comedy show? Like, I don't know, like it almost feels like it's controversial for the sake of being racy. It takes away from the funny a lot, I would say. Tony Hinchcliffe and his obsession with Trump and Republicans. And obviously, if you don't know, he made a terrible joke about Puerto Rico being a floating island of garbage. Whew. Where am I going with this? Oh, so a lot of people migrate to Austin, Texas because of Kill Tony, because of all the open mics that are there, because Brian Redband, his co-host, has a comedy show there, who I've seen a lot of comedians that I've been around with make that stage, right? So this ecosystem of comedians in Austin, Texas, it almost feels like the right-winged New York City in a lot of ways, but it's some of the only way you'll get a chance to hear open mic comedy. It's one of the only chance you'll get to hear on a weekly basis new stand-up material. People who win golden tickets and become regulars on Kill Tony, they go on tour, but every Monday they come back to Austin and they're a part of the show. There's some very funny people that I've seen. Obviously, I mentioned Cam Patterson, who's now on SNL, who was made his bones being of like the guy on Kill Tony. David Lucas is another stand-up comedian that's very funny but more roasty. Hans Kim, Ari Maddie is one of the newer ones that's hilarious. Like, there's a lot of big names that are at your local club, wherever you are, that got popular from Kill Tony. Now, I'm bringing all this up because
this episode of Brandon and Friends is brought to you by Crackers. The snack, not the people. Crackers. Snacks for the poor. Crackers. They come in a sleeve. Crackers. They're fun to eat, but you can't have too much fun.
the set that I have to bring to the table today to show you guys is a very controversial set that I did at a open mic competition at McCurdy's, a 5-minute open mic competition at McCurdy's that I did back in October, featuring, starting off with, a joke that my mom wishes that I would retire. My mom hates this joke. She seen me do it live. She was in the crowd that night. And I don't necessarily want to preface it too much because I want to let you guys be the judge, but there are some things you can do as a comedian to shock and awe an audience and get a laugh for that. But jokes still have to be the meat of the thing, right? Like good joke writing has to be the meat of the thing. I'm just going to say it just because she mentioned it before. Young, who is the newest Tony bucket golden ticket winner, after my set complimented me on my joke writing. And we had a conversation about physical comedy and like all of the intricacies that we're all obsessed with as stand-ups. But before I showcase that bit, I do want to give a little update into where I'm at currently as a stand-up comedian. Right now it's mid-March. I just did last week the stand-up show that was been circled on my calendar since last September. Shouts out to DC Benny. Shouts out to the show that he put on. Shouts out to him allowing me to be on the show. He did a show at the St. Pete Yacht Club. And let me tell you guys, for doing 12 minutes of material, it is the most money that I've ever been paid to do stand-up. It was inspiring. It was about 250 people in the crowd, and it was probably one of the best sets that I've ever done. A lot of different factors led to that. I did not do as many open mics as I usually typically like to do before I do a big show like that, and I think it helped. There's something negative, I think, that happens for people that are getting to the open mic cycle where all they do is go up and try out new jokes, when at the end of the day, the thing that makes people money, the things that makes clubs money, are jokes that work. Now, finding new jokes are very important. I need to do more writing. I need to find new jokes. I think it's very important, but there's something about the bread and butter and getting to the best of the best. And I told you guys before on the last episode, you become a touring comedian when you have 20 minutes of material, and 80% of that 20 minutes works on 80% of audiences. And it's so fun when you have that to go test it out on different audiences. There's things that I did at the St. Pete Yacht Club show, groans that I got where I expected laugh lines. And to be able to play off of those groans is something that can only happen once you've done enough mics and have done enough of minutes. So where I'm at right now is like I'm extremely busy with work. I'm extremely busy with being a dad and all the different things that come with life. And I haven't been able to do enough open mics, and that's effort. You have to go out and do it. But I have done the work at shows that I've been asked to be in enough to be getting booked slightly. You know, the other comedians that I'm around have these big shows maybe once a week. I have big shows once a month right now, which is kind of cool. Like I'm excited about it. I love it, but I do need to do more work to get lay the groundwork and be able to be out there and be seen by more people. But I digress. Back to this set. Last week I kind of paused between everything and kind of broke it down, which I will. But I'm gonna let this first one breathe. Okay. This is me doing an impression. Okay. This is the open mic competition at McCurdy's. 5 minutes. And I really wanted to get the crowd listening off top. And I typically only do this joke at comedy clubs. When you're doing stand-up comedy, you do a lot of different shows at a lot of different places, like bars, and like I did that yacht club that was in a ballroom. You end up doing stand-up in places that aren't stand-up, places where people usually hear stand-up. But there's some jokes that I have in my sets that I only do at comedy clubs, and that's more on the self-editing part of the being a stand-up comedian. It's like, I don't want somebody to be just sitting around at the bar, not there for stand-up, hear one of my jokes and be completely turned off because, you know, they weren't ready for that. That's why I do certain things at a comedy club. And I heard Josh Johnson on a podcast recently, a very popular stand-up comedian, Josh Johnson, say as a black person who has endless capabilities of what they possibly can say, it is very important to censor themselves and edit themselves. And that's why this joke in this set in particular is important to bring up today. So with all that said, with that preamble, let's get into this set. And by the way, I like the joke that I'm about to show you, but I know it is controversial. Okay? All right, let's get into it.
Help me welcome to the stage. Give it up for Brandon Newman, everybody. Brandon!
What's the deal with niggers? Their faces are black, their hands are white. What's going on? 3/5 of a person, who's gonna teach them fractions? Every time I see a black person, it scares the hell out of me. The only time I'm happy to see a nigger is on an airplane. You think whites are afraid of blacks, browns are terrified. No way Muhammad Ali's hijacking this plane with Cassius Clay on it. They say you never know when you're riding with an air marshal, but you always know when you're riding with an air marshal. Racist Jerry Seinfeld, working some impressions. The genesis of that joke. I was at an open mic, and somebody was doing a very bad Jerry Seinfeld impression, and I was like, I could do a better Jerry Seinfeld impression, but what would I say? And when I do these shows in Florida, there's a lot of white people in the crowd. So I came up with that opening line. What happens afterwards? It could be tightened. It definitely could be tightened. It's long. It's a preamble, but I love that last part of the joke. You always know when you're riding with or you never know when you're riding with the air marshal, but you always know when you're riding with the air marshal. Like, it's just I can't toot my own horn, but I think it's a smart joke. It's a funny, smart joke that's crazy because I come off top with the hard ER saying, what's the deal with? Look, I don't even say it. I can say it right now. You just heard it. But anyways, I do it mainly at dirty shows in Clearwater. That's where I usually keep that joke alive. The reason why I use it in this set is because that's the main stage of this competition. There's a first round of this competition that is not on the main stage, and my dad bit, which you're about to hear next, is how I opened up that one, and I got advice that I should differentiate some material going into the main stage, but it was being judged by like people that may not like the fact that I did that. The reward for winning this open mic challenge was to be able to open for an actual comedian at McCurdy's on that stage. So I probably should have been doing more things that all audiences would probably be okay with. But my mom hates that joke. Like, I ran it by her in the car on the way there, and she was like, I just don't want you to say that. And then she heard the roar afterwards, after like me actually doing it, and she was on the ride home, she was like, I see why you left it in. I see why you do that joke. And then a few months later, she just called me out of the blue. She's like, you know that Jerry Seinfeld joke you do? I really don't want you to do that anymore. So that's where I'm at. But that's how I opened up this set. Let's hear the rest of it.
I usually don't like to start off my set with problematic material, but since we're here. Growing up, I was severely beaten by a police officer. It was my dad, but always bringing his work home. Oh, workaholic. Stop resisting, stop resisting. Dad, leave it at work. Loves his job. I admired him about that.
Okay, so this is the first time I'm playing my dad bit on this podcast, so I'll pause there. I love that joke because it's such a bait and switch. The amount of reactions that I get off of that joke, like off the top, but like not even the joke, like off of that line, it just makes people listen to whatever I have to say next, right? And my dad did beat me quite a bit. Like he shouldn't have spanked us the way he was spanking us. So like I feel like it comes from some like honesty. So like that's why I continue to do it. But I came up with that bit at a Side Splitters open mic, and it's been one of my favorite jokes. So it is also just like a really good establisher of who I am and how I got to this point. Like, yeah, I was beaten by a police officer before it was popular. That's terrible.
Really did. If you can't tell by my diction or my attire, growing up, my best friend was white. Big redheaded kid named Eric. Always got along with redheaded people growing up. Never understood what it was. So I got older, became an adult, realized redheads are just the niggas of white people. Gingers and niggers. Bullied by the pure-blooded whites. Tale as old as time. I think it's because trad whites likes their whites all white. Redheads got all that pigment on their skin. Y'all call them freckles. Just looks like a black person sneezed on them.
Love that joke. Love the Tales all the time singing. Something that I haven't added to the joke, but a comedian suggested to me, but also like I've thought about it before, is the fact that the N-word and ginger are an anagram, but like I've tried to say the word anagram and it's almost like, I don't know if it's too smart for Florida audiences. That's terrible to say, but like it's not funny, and like people have to like sit and think about the whole. I don't know if you guys remember the old commercial for Camry. It was like their slogan was "My Car," and they switched the letters around. Like that's what I envision when I think of the N-word and ginger. But like the joke I want to say is like whoever created the slur for redheads was as lazy as the person who created the slur for black people. But like I should probably say red people and black people. Maybe that worked. But like it's just not. I don't know. I don't know what to do with it yet. But I love this joke.
No, but I love Eric to this day. My first white sleepover. When you're black, you remember your first white sleepover. You get a chance to see how the other side lives. I knew it was serious because my mom took it seriously. Right, the sleepover was on Friday. She got me ready on Tuesday. She set me down. She's like, Brandon, when we get over there, there's gonna be a mom and a dad in the house. Mama in unit? Wow. And she was right. Eric's dad's name's Gary. Get this, he lived in the house and he slept in the same bed as Eric's mom. White people do crazy shit.
Okay, the white people do crazy shit line kills with white people. I don't know why, because they're like, oh my gosh, we do typically have traditional households. There's people that clapped in the audience, so anytime somebody claps, I feel like it's both worth pausing and just talking about it.
No, Eric and I played football growing up. You know, luckily enough, I was fortunate to get a full ride scholarship to the University of Notre Dame. Oh, some Irish fans here. Okay, don't be too impressed. 2 games in 4 years. That nigga Rudy got 1 less game than me, and he was a walk-on. The coaches wouldn't play me. The priest wouldn't fuck me. Very lonely. Lonely 4 years. Only 4 years. We had this thing, basically.
Okay. I love that joke because it makes, like, the torture I have for myself for the lack of time that I played at Notre Dame. Oh my gosh, it kills me, pains me. Like, comedy comes from a really dark place. Like, I was just, don't get me started on it. But this joke makes it worth it. I don't even know what else I have to say, but like it's true. The coaches didn't play me and the priest didn't touch me. See, I'm censoring myself right now. But look, this is a comedy club. I do that joke elsewhere. I don't say the priest F's me. Like I did at the St. Pete Yacht Club 2 nights ago. And I said the coaches wouldn't play me, the priest wouldn't fondle me, and I did this with my hands. You know, a laugh, but the F word definitely gets a bigger laugh.
We had this thing, basically, we call ourselves the gayest locker room in America. We weren't being homophobic, we just had a strong appreciation for each other's dicks. Yeah. But you don't want to get caught meat gazing. You guys know what meat gazing is? That's when you see a new dick and it's got some features you haven't seen before, you look a little longer. That's gay. You get in trouble for that. So we had a little game to combat that, right? Every new person in the shower, every new person, like a freshman comes in the shower for the first time, upperclassman starts beating on the wall. Then we start chanting, meat game, yo meat game, let me see your meat game, yo meat game, yo meat game, let me see your meat game, yo meat game, yo meat game. Get a chance to flaunt it a little bit. Miss those guys. Miss those dicks. Draw some of my favorites with my eyes closed to this day.
Okay, that's my meat game bit. I need to have a better closer on it because the laugh really just falls off. But once I created that bit, for one, it's just like absolutely true. And a lot of my friends who play football at Notre Dame like almost forgot that we had the meat game thing. But I love when I first started doing stand up around here, I thought it was cheap for people like to come up to me and like repeat a bit to me. But now that I'm like really thinking about it, like some of my favorite comedians are people that like if I met them, I would repeat a joke back to them immediately. So like that's not a bad thing. And like people love to sing meat game, like meat game, yo meat game. One thing I did in this set that I don't do anymore is I used to beat on my chest, but I hear my voice breaking when I do it. So I start beating on my thigh now when I do the meat game. We'll get a little meat game, yo, meat game. Anyways, it's just a nice, better rhythm at it. But I need to find jokes that end up closing it better. I'll find it eventually, but I do love talking about meat game. Pause.
No, but I have kids. Obviously, I said I went to Notre Dame. That probably tells you I have a white wife. Fell in love with the oppressor. I'm sorry about that, guys. It's a problem. But we have kids. Bushel of beige babies. Keeps the racists at bay. So we're okay. But I didn't know having mixed kids would mean having white kids. I don't know how to raise white kids. You know, it's like my son Carter, 5 years old. All he wants to do every day is play golf and look at houses for sale. Zillow and Bluey. All he does, Zillow and Bluey. I'm watching football on the weekends. He's like, Dad, can we watch golf? Dad, can we watch golf? I said, we're watching black sports right now. I'm watching football, okay? And just the other day, he started calling police officers superheroes. Like, I cannot believe I'm raising a Republican. All right, y'all, that's my time. It's been fun. Thank you.
One time for Brandon Newman, everybody. Yeah, that's very nice. And
I lost that competition. I did not win. There's plenty of things looking back on it why I think I didn't win, but after I got off that set, after I got off that stage, I thought I won. I was like, ooh, I won that. This guy, Levi Johnson, he's a stand-up around here, open micer as well. I sat right next to him afterwards. He was like, that was a pretty good set. It's between you and Terry, but I think Terry is going to win. And I was like, that's so fucked up to say, like right after I come off stage. But he was right. Terry won. Shout out to him. So the moral of the story is there's certain things that you just don't say on stage, right? And the winner of this show was going to do a podcast with Les McCurdy and some other people. And I was in my head about it a little bit. And I was like, nobody wants to go sit down and do a podcast with somebody who just said the N-word a bunch and they can't say the N-word. Like, I don't know. But it's all about censorship. It's all about saying what you would and could say. Guess what? That opening line about Jerry Seinfeld, that would kill on Kill Tony. If I had 60 seconds, if my name got pulled out of the bucket and I was in Austin, Texas, and I had the opportunity, I should and could lead with that joke. But because of the Kill Tony audience, because of Tony Hinchcliffe, because of the stand-ups that are there, that are respected, that are probably there on panel, in that audience, I wouldn't do that joke. I wouldn't do a condensed version of that joke, and it would kill. Because I would hate to get a golden ticket off of something that I'm conflicted about, even if it gets the laughs. And because my mom hates it, it's not really a barometer for anything, but like, there's something about it. I guess we all want to make our parents proud a little bit, you know. But I do like doing that joke. I do. But okay, that's it for today. Talking about censorship and things like that. I saw an old clip of Eddie Murphy when he first started doing stand-up as a 19-year-old, where he told the audience, he said, I'm going to say a word and y'all say it back. Y'all ready? And
so when I count to 3, I want everybody in the audience to scream something. And I give you the count, okay? Everybody scream, nigga. It's okay, you got permission. I ain't gonna hurt nobody. Just wait for me to count to 3. Because last night I did a club, they screamed it before I asked them. Seriously, I came out and said, how you doing? Wait for the 3. And just scream nigga. Nobody slipping no coons and no shit like that. No Alabama porch monkeys. I don't want to hear none of that shit. Okay? This is straight forward nigger on 3. Here we go. 1, 2. 2.5. 3.
And it was fun and playful, and I was like, man, so there's a way to play with that and do it, but like I don't know. I think I agree with Josh Johnson. As black people on stage, you got to find a way to censor yourself, and I don't know if I will ever do that joke at a stand-up competition ever again. But okay, that should be it for today. Okay, get in, get out. Talk to you about where I'm at. Talk to you about
something I failed in. Talk to you about something popular in stand-up comedy right now. I probably will make it to Austin at some point in time. But shouts out to all the people that have moved to Austin and made a career. And shouts out to all the people that I know personally that have moved to Austin and had to move right back to Florida. Because either they weren't ready financially, they weren't ready material-wise. Sometimes people move to New York before moving to Austin. Open mics get daunting. And that scene is crazy. And thinking they're just going to get like pulled out of a bucket. I don't know. It works for Dedrick Flynn. He's a Kill Tony regular now. Bucket pool.
And make some noise for your next bucket pool. It's Dedrick Flynn, everyone. Dedrick Flynn.
What you know about being able to beat the last level of Sonic the Hedgehog while you a kid, but they come repo the TV while you playing it? Cause your friend's mama stopped having sex with the nigga from Rent-A-Center. Yeah, y'all know shit about me.
He has talked about openly how he was like depressed and on the verge of giving up, trying to put his name on the bucket for Kill Tony after doing it like hundreds of times. And then he got pulled. And when he got pulled, he's been ready. And he's been great every time you get a chance to hear him. And it's a perfect example of what's great about Kill Tony is the preparation. But it's not for everybody. And it's not for everybody to listen to. I take breaks sometimes when it gets too much. But there's something about it that truly is magical. And it is just a supersized steroid, HGH, creatine-filled version of what open mics are like. And that's what I'm bringing to you here at Brandon and Friends. This is the second episode. This is just me doing solo. Hopefully I get a friend in here to talk to you guys next week. And thank you for listening. Thank you for subscribing. I hope you're subscribing. I hope people aren't just downloading and not subscribing. Ugh. But up to 57 downloads right now. So it's the beginning of something. Check me out on YouTube. I have my full episodes up on YouTube there. If you look now, I have a nice little studio going on. There's a reason for that professionally, and you guys will see that soon if you follow me on Instagram at Brandon J. Newman. And thank you guys for the time. The Oscars are tonight, so I got to see if Sinners won Best Picture or if racism is still alive in America. I'm sorry, that was a joke. But I love you guys. Talk to you soon. See you on stage. Now this one is, I should say,
This episode